David was a single father living in a small town surrounded by green hills and quiet streets. Life had not been easy for him ever since his wife had passed away several years ago. He worked long hours at the local grocery store to make sure his young daughter, Lily, never wanted for anything. Money was always tight, and sometimes he would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how he could pay for rent, bills, and school supplies all at once. Despite the worries, he loved Lily more than anything, and her bright smile was enough to keep him going every day. One morning, David decided to take Lily on a walk around town. The air was crisp and cool, and the sun shone gently over the rooftops. Lily skipped ahead, holding her father's hand and pointing at the small shops and houses. They laughed as a friendly dog ran past, wagging its tail. As they walked further, they reached the edge of the town where an old farm stood. David had passed it many times before, but today something about it caught his attention. The farm looked abandoned. The fence was broken in several places, the grass grew wildly in the fields, and the barn was faded and cracked. A few chickens wandered near the gate, and the smell of earth mixed with old hay filled the air. David felt a strange pull toward the farm. It reminded him of his own childhood when he had spent summers helping his parents with the land. He remembered the joy of planting seeds, feeding animals, and seeing the crops grow. The memory made his chest feel warm and heavy at the same time. Lily noticed her father staring at the farm. "Daddy, look at that place," she said, pointing. "Can we go see it?" David smiled softly. "I think we can, Lily. Maybe there is something interesting there." They walked closer to the gate. As they approached, the sound of birds flying away filled the air. David examined the farm carefully. The tools in the shed were rusty, and the windows of the house were dusty. Yet there was a charm in the place that he could not explain. It was not just a farm. It felt like a story waiting to be written. Just then, the door of the farmhouse opened. A woman stepped out carrying a basket of fresh flowers. She looked kind and calm. Her hair was tied neatly, and she wore a simple dress. David instinctively straightened his posture. The woman smiled at him and Lily. "Hello," she said. "Can I help you?" David hesitated for a moment. He was not used to talking to strangers, especially not to someone who seemed so polite and welcoming. Hello," he replied. "My name is David, and this is my daughter, Lily. We were just walking and noticed your farm. It looks like it needs a lot of work. I used to help my family with farming when I was younger. I was wondering if I could maybe help here somehow. I don't need to be paid. I just want to work with the land again." The woman's eyes widened slightly. Then she laughed gently, a sound that felt like sunlight on a cool day. "That is very kind of you," she said. "I am Clara. The farm does need help. It has been empty for a long time. I was just thinking about finding someone to care for it, but I was not sure who. Maybe you can help after all." David felt a spark of hope. He had not expected such an answer. "Really?" he asked, trying to hide his excitement. "I would love to help. Lily can come too if that's okay." Clara smiled warmly at Lily, who waved shyly. "Of course. The more the merrier," she said. As they left the farmhouse, David felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had no idea what this new opportunity would bring, but for the first time in months he felt a sense of purpose. He knew it would not be easy. Restoring a farm required time, energy, and patience. But for David, it was more than just work. It was a chance to teach Lily about life, nature, and the joy of building something from the ground up. That evening, David and Lily returned home. David sat on the small couch, staring at the ceiling once more, but this time he did not feel the weight of worry pressing on his chest. Instead, he felt a quiet hope. Tomorrow they would visit the farm again. Tomorrow, a new chapter in their lives might begin, full of work, laughter, and unexpected possibilities. The next morning, David woke up before sunrise. He brewed a small pot of coffee and packed a lunch for himself and Lily. The day promised to be long, but he felt a sense of excitement he had not felt in years. Lily, as always, was ready with her little backpack and her favorite hat. She chatted happily about the animals they might see on the farm and imagined all the fun they would have together. As they approached the farmhouse, David could see Clara already outside. She was tending to a few flower pots near the front porch. The sunlight highlighted her gentle features, and she looked calm and peaceful. She noticed them walking up and waved. David felt a little nervous. Meeting someone new always made him cautious, but Clara had a kindness in her eyes that made him feel welcome. "Good morning, David, Lily," Clara said, smiling. "I'm glad to see you. I hope you are ready for a busy day." David nodded. "We are ready. I brought some tools and food for lunch. I want to get started as soon as possible." Clara's smile grew. "That is wonderful. I will show you around and explain what needs to be done first. The farm has been neglected for a long time, so there is a lot to do, but I am sure we can make it beautiful again." She led them through the farm, pointing to the areas that needed attention. The barn had a sagging roof and broken windows. The fences were worn down in many places, leaving the fields unprotected. The garden was overgrown with weeds and the soil was dry in some patches. David listened carefully, noting everything in his mind. He already had ideas for fixing the fences and clearing the garden. Lily ran ahead, exploring a small path near the orchard. She laughed as a rabbit darted across her path, and she clapped her hands in delight. Clara watched her fondly, her smile softening. David felt a warmth in his chest. Seeing Lily happy and free in the open fields reminded him why he had always loved the idea of farming. It was not just about work. It was about life, growth, and learning to care for something with patience and love. "David," Clara said gently, "I am glad you are willing to help. I must admit I was not expecting someone so dedicated to come along. Most people just see the farm as old and empty. They do not realize its potential." David shook his head. "I understand. I have always loved the land. Even when life gets hard, taking care of something growing and alive gives me hope. Lily loves it too. She learns things here she cannot learn anywhere else." Clara nodded, her eyes thoughtful. "You are very kind, David. I believe the farm will thrive under your care. I just want someone who truly cares, and I can see that in you." They started with the fences. David showed Lily how to pull out old posts and replace broken boards. Clara handed them tools and sometimes offered tips, but she mostly let David and Lily work. He appreciated that. He did not want help that felt like pity. He wanted a partnership, a chance to work together and restore the farm themselves. Hours passed quickly. The sun climbed higher in the sky and sweat dotted David's forehead. Lily's small hands worked tirelessly, carrying tools and helping in any way she could. David glanced at Clara from time to time. She watched quietly, smiling at their efforts, occasionally offering encouragement. David felt grateful for her presence, though he had no idea how much she could offer or who she truly was beyond this simple farm. By the end of the day, the fences looked stronger and the garden had a clear path through the weeds. David and Lily were tired but happy. They sat on a small bench near the barn, drinking water and looking at their work. Clara joined them, bringing a small basket of fresh fruit. "You did a great job today," Clara said kindly. "The farm looks much better already. I'm impressed with how much effort you put into it." David smiled, wiping his forehead. "Thank you, Clara. I feel like I am finally doing something meaningful again. Lily loves it too, and that is what matters most." Clara's eyes softened. "I am glad. The farm will be a place of happiness and growth for you and Lily. That is what I want more than anything." As the sun began to set, casting warm orange light over the fields, David felt a spark of hope. For the first time in a long time, he believed that life could change for the better. The farm, the work, and the friendship with Clara promised something new, something that could bring joy, stability, and even a sense of family back into their lives. The next morning, David woke up with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was the first full day they would spend restoring the farm. He brewed a pot of coffee and prepared a small breakfast for himself and Lily. She was already dressed, her hat tied securely, and her small backpack ready. The sun had just begun to rise, casting a golden glow over the town, and David felt a quiet hope in his heart. As they walked to the farm, Lily chatted happily about the animals they might see and the flowers they could plant. David smiled at her energy. Despite the challenges they faced in life, Lily's joy and curiosity always reminded him of the beauty in simple things. He wanted her to grow up knowing the value of hard work, patience, and caring for others. The farm seemed like the perfect place for that. When they arrived, Clara was already outside inspecting the fields and checking the barn. She greeted them with a warm smile. "Good morning, David. Good morning, Lily. I hope you are ready. Today we will begin with the barn and the animal pens. They need the most attention." David nodded, feeling eager to start. "We are ready, Clara. Let's do this together." They went to the barn first. The wooden doors were old and creaked loudly as they pushed them open. Inside, the barn smelled of hay and earth. David noticed some broken boards and a few tools scattered on the ground. He turned to Clara. "We can fix the boards and organize the tools first. Then we can clean the barn and make it safe for animals." Clara agreed and handed them a small toolbox. Lily ran around excitedly, picking up smaller items and pretending to be a helper. Her laughter filled the barn, making the work feel lighter and more joyful. David felt a sense of pride as he watched his daughter work with determination. She might be small, but her heart was full of courage and energy. Hours passed as they worked together. David repaired the broken boards, hammered in nails, and organized tools into neat piles. Lily swept the floor, carried hay, and even helped clean the small water troughs. Clara occasionally offered advice, but mostly she let them work. She smiled quietly, observing their teamwork and the care they put into the tasks. By midday, the barn was much cleaner, and the animal pens were stronger and safer. David stepped back to look at their progress. He wiped his forehead and smiled. "We've done a lot already, Lily. Look at how good it looks." Lily clapped her hands. "I like it, Daddy. The animals will be happy here." Clara brought out a basket of sandwiches and fresh fruit. They all sat together on a bench near the barn to enjoy their lunch. The sun was warm, and a gentle breeze moved through the trees. David felt a rare moment of peace. For once, he was not thinking about bills or money. He was focused on something real, something that could grow and bring happiness. After lunch, they moved to the garden. It was overgrown with weeds and dry soil in patches. David showed Lily how to pull out weeds and prepare the soil for planting. Clara helped by pointing out the best spots for vegetables and flowers. David felt grateful for her guidance. Even though she did not do much herself, her presence and encouragement made the work feel lighter. By the end of the day, the barn looked ready for animals, and the garden had a clear path and prepared soil. David was tired, but his heart felt full. Lily ran ahead, laughing as she imagined planting seeds and watching them grow. Clara watched them with a soft smile. "You are both very hardworking," she said. "The farm is already feeling alive because of you." As the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, David stood in the middle of the fields. He looked at Lily, who was chasing a butterfly, and then at Clara, who quietly observed them. He felt a sense of hope he had not felt in a long time. The farm was more than just land. It was a new beginning, a place where they could work, grow, and find happiness together. David realized that this first day was just the start. There would be many challenges ahead, but with hard work, love, and support, he believed they could restore the farm to its full beauty, and more importantly, he believed that he and Lily could find a home here, a place where they truly belonged. The next morning, David woke up with a renewed energy. The first day of work had been tiring, but it had also brought a sense of accomplishment he had not felt in a long time. Lily was already up, humming a cheerful tune as she packed a small bag with snacks and a water bottle. David smiled at her excitement. He loved seeing her happy, and he knew this farm was becoming a place where both of them could feel alive again. When they arrived at the farm, Clara was waiting near the barn. She had a gentle smile on her face and a basket of fresh vegetables she had picked from a small patch of garden she had started planting before David came. "Good morning, David. Good morning, Lily," she said warmly. "I see you are ready for another day. Today we will focus on the orchard and the garden. The plants need attention and the trees could use some care." David nodded. "We are ready, Clara. Let's start with the orchard. I think we can prune the trees and clear some of the weeds around them." Lily ran ahead, her small feet crunching on the dry grass. She waved at a few birds that flew by and laughed when a butterfly landed briefly on a flower. David followed her slowly, feeling the fresh air fill his lungs. The orchard had potential even though it was overgrown. He imagined the trees full of fruit and the garden blooming with colors. It would take time, but he knew every small effort would count. As they began working, David noticed how much he enjoyed teaching Lily new things. He showed her how to trim the branches safely, how to dig small holes for planting, and how to water the plants evenly. Lily listened carefully and tried her best to follow his instructions. Clara watched them with a soft smile. She admired David's patience and dedication, and the way he made Lily feel included in every task. Hours passed quickly. They cleared weeds, pruned branches, and prepared the soil for new plants. David felt a quiet pride growing inside him. The farm was starting to change. Every small effort they put in made it feel alive again. Even Lily seemed to notice. She laughed as she carried small branches and watered the plants carefully. David's heart swelled with happiness. During a short break, Clara brought out a small basket of apples. "You have done very well today," she said. "The orchard is looking healthier, and the garden is shaping up nicely. I can already see the changes." David wiped his forehead and smiled. "Thank you, Clara. It is hard work, but it feels good. Lily loves helping too. I think she is learning a lot from this experience." Clara nodded, watching Lily carefully arrange some small plants in the garden. "She is very observant," Clara said softly. "She has a bright mind and a kind heart. You must be very proud of her." David looked at his daughter and nodded. "I am. Every day I try to teach her important things, but the farm is teaching both of us. It is more than just work. It is about caring, patience, and watching something grow." As the afternoon passed, more small victories appeared. A fence near the orchard was repaired, the garden paths were clear, and the barn looked even tidier after yesterday's work. David felt a sense of accomplishment he had almost forgotten existed. Clara noticed the effort they had put in and offered extra support, such as carrying heavier tools and providing water and snacks. David appreciated her help, but he was determined to do most of the work himself. By the end of the day, the farm looked alive. The orchard had open spaces where sunlight could reach every tree. The garden had neat rows ready for planting. David and Lily were tired, but their faces glowed with satisfaction. Clara joined them, smiling proudly. "You did a wonderful job today," she said. "The farm is already feeling happier. You have brought life back to this place." David smiled, looking at the fields bathed in the soft light of the setting sun. He felt a deep sense of hope. For the first time in a long while, he believed that they could build a new life here. The farm was more than just land. It was a place of growth, learning, and happiness. As they walked back to the farmhouse, Lily held David's hand tightly. "Daddy, I like the farm," she said simply. "I want to help every day." David smiled at her words. He knew this was just the beginning. The farm had many challenges ahead, but with small victories every day, they were creating a future full of promise, hard work, and joy. As the days passed, David, Lily, and Clara spent more time together on the farm. Every morning, the sunlight spilled over the fields and the farm slowly transformed under their care. The fences were stronger, the garden had neat rows, and the orchard began to show signs of life. David found himself looking forward to each day with a quiet excitement he had not felt in a long time. Lily ran freely through the fields, laughing at the sound of birds and chasing butterflies. David watched her, feeling proud of her curiosity and joy. Clara often joined them, her gentle presence blending into the rhythm of farm life. She sometimes gave tips about planting or caring for the trees, but mostly she observed quietly, allowing David and Lily to work together. Her kindness made David feel comfortable, and her calm nature brought a sense of peace to the farm. One afternoon, after clearing a section of the orchard, David sat on a wooden bench, resting his hands and enjoying the breeze. Clara approached him carrying a small watering can. "You are working very hard," she said softly. "I admire your dedication. Most people would give up after a day or two, but you keep going." David smiled, feeling slightly embarrassed by the praise. "I just want to do what is best for Lily and the farm. I like seeing things grow. It makes me feel useful again." Clara nodded. "You have a good heart, David. I can see how much you care about Lily in this place. That is rare." As they spoke, Lily ran over, holding a small bundle of flowers she had picked from the garden. "Look, Daddy, Clara. I made a bouquet for you," she said proudly. David took the flowers, smiling at her effort. "Thank you, Lily. They are beautiful." He turned to Clara. "She is learning a lot from this place. She loves it here." Clara smiled warmly at Lily. "She has a kind heart, too. I can see she will grow up with patience and care. You are doing a wonderful job teaching her." Over the next few weeks, the farm became a place of friendship and trust. David and Clara began to share stories about their lives. David told Clara about his childhood and the small farm he had helped manage with his parents. Clara shared gentle stories about her family and the reason she had inherited the farm. They found comfort in talking with someone who understood the love for the land and the value of hard work. One rainy afternoon, when the fields were too wet to work, they gathered inside the farmhouse. Lily sat near the window watching raindrops slide down the glass while David and Clara talked quietly. They laughed at small memories, shared dreams for the future, and found a connection that went beyond just working together. David realized he could trust Clara, not only with the farm but with the small happiness he was trying to protect in his life. Clara often noticed the small ways David cared for Lily. She admired his patience, the gentle way he guided her hands, and the encouragement he gave her when she made mistakes. It was clear to her that David loved Lily deeply, and that love was reflected in every action he took on the farm. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, David and Clara stood at the edge of the orchard, looking over the work they had done. "The farm is changing," David said, smiling. "It feels alive again. I never imagined it could look like this in such a short time." Clara nodded, her eyes softening. "It is not just the work. It is your care and dedication. You brought life back to this place, and Lily, she brings joy to everyone around her." David felt a warmth in his heart. For the first time in years, he felt like he was not alone. The farm had given him purpose, Lily had given him hope, and Clara had become a friend he could rely on. The three of them shared a quiet moment, knowing that the trust and friendship they had built were more valuable than anything else. As they walked back to the farmhouse, Lily ran ahead, laughing and holding a small basket of flowers she had picked for Clara. David followed, holding Clara's hand for a moment, grateful for her presence in their lives. He realized that life was no longer only about struggles and worries. It was about trust, friendship, and the happiness they created together on the farm. David had grown used to the rhythm of farm life. Every morning he woke with a sense of purpose, ready to care for the land and teach Lily about nature and hard work. The farm was slowly transforming, and the small victories they achieved each day gave him hope. Clara's quiet support had become an important part of their routine, though David still did not know much about her personal life. She was kind, gentle, and helpful, but she seemed almost ordinary, living simply despite owning the farm. One bright morning, while David and Lily were clearing a section of the garden, a group of workers arrived at the farm. David paused, puzzled, as he watched them unload large tools, machines, and equipment he had never seen before. "Hello," one of the workers called. "We're here to help with the farm improvements." David looked around, unsure. "Improvements? I thought we were just restoring the farm ourselves." "I didn't know anyone else was coming." Clara approached with a calm smile. "Good morning, David. I hope you don't mind. I wanted to give the farm a little extra help so we could make it perfect." David was surprised. "Extra help? I didn't know." He trailed off, noticing the expensive equipment and organized crew. Clara's calm demeanor gave no hint of the true reason behind it. Clara gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "I have the means to make the farm better, but I wanted someone who truly cares about it to lead the work. That is why I asked for your help first. I wanted you and Lily to shape the farm with love and effort. The machines and workers are only here to support you, not replace you." David stared at her, stunned. He had never expected Clara to be so wealthy or able to bring in professional help. She had always seemed modest and simple, living quietly in the farmhouse and caring for the land. He realized he had never considered that someone could own so much and still choose to live humbly. Clara continued, smiling softly. "I have inherited this farm and some other properties. I could hire professionals to do everything, but I wanted this farm to have heart. I wanted someone who loves it as much as I do to work here. That is why I trusted you." David's mind raced. He felt a mix of awe and gratitude. I had no idea. I never imagined. Thank you for trusting me, Clara. I promise I will take care of the farm and Lily. We will make it beautiful together." Clara nodded, her eyes gentle.
"I know you will, David. That is why I chose you."
"Money can fix many things, but it cannot bring love, care, or patience. Those come from people like you and Lily." The workers began setting up machines and organizing tools, while David and Lily continued their tasks, now feeling supported in ways they had not expected. Clara moved among them, quietly supervising and offering encouragement. David watched the crew, realizing how much easier their work would be with help, yet he felt proud that he had already achieved so much on his own. As the day passed, David noticed the changes happening quickly. Fences that had taken hours to fix were now reinforced with strong materials. The garden was leveled and prepared for planting with the help of machinery. The barn roof had been repaired efficiently. Despite all this, David still felt that the heart of the farm came from their hands, sweat, and care. Clara had understood this, and that trust filled him with respect and admiration for her. By evening, the sun cast long shadows across the fields. David, Lily, and Clara stood together near the orchard, watching the farm shine with new potential. David felt a warmth in his heart. He had expected a simple farm, hard work, and lessons for Lily. Instead, he had found a friend, a mentor, and a woman who trusted him more than he had imagined possible. Clara smiled at him. "The farm will grow, David, not because of machines or money, but because of your love for it. That is what matters most." David nodded, understanding the truth in her words. The secret of her fortune had been revealed, but what mattered more was the trust, care, and friendship that had formed. This farm was no longer just a place to work. It was a place where hearts, hope, and happiness grew together. The farm was slowly transforming into a place of life, beauty, and hope. Every morning, David woke up early with Lily by his side, ready to face a day of work that no longer felt exhausting but rewarding. The fences were strong, the garden rows neat, and the orchard trees beginning to show buds that promised a bountiful harvest. Clara's support had made many tasks easier, but David still felt proud that the work reflected his and Lily's effort, love, and care. One sunny morning, David led Lily to the garden. She skipped ahead carrying a small watering can. "Daddy, look! The flowers are growing," she exclaimed. David looked closely. Tiny green shoots were rising from the soil, and small buds peeked from the plants they had carefully planted weeks ago. He smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "You did a wonderful job, Lily," David said, lifting her onto his shoulders. "These plants are growing because of you." "Look how strong they are," Lily giggled. "We did it together, Daddy." "The farm is alive!" David laughed, his heart warm. The farm had indeed come alive, not only in its fields and trees, but in the way it had brought joy, purpose, and stability to their lives. Clara arrived carrying baskets of fresh vegetables from the small garden near the farmhouse. She smiled at their excitement. "The farm is thriving," she said softly. "You and Lily have done more than I could have imagined. It feels full of life again." David shook his head humbly. "It is not just me. It is Lily, it is you, and everyone helping here. This farm is special because we care for it. It is more than just land. It is our home, our hard work, and our happiness." Clara nodded, clearly pleased. "That is exactly why I wanted you here. Money and machines cannot create love and care. You have given the farm its heart." As the days passed, the farm continued to flourish. The barn was now fully repaired and safe for animals. Chickens ran freely in the yard, and a few goats grazed calmly in the fields. The orchard showed signs of fruit, and the garden was full of vegetables and colorful flowers. David and Lily worked together every day, learning more about the land and how to care for it. The farm had become a classroom, a playground, and a source of hope all at once. Clara often joined them, helping to organize small tasks or giving tips on planting techniques. She laughed with Lily, encouraging her creativity and curiosity. David noticed how much they had all grown closer. Clara was no longer just the farm owner. She had become a friend and partner in their journey. David felt a quiet gratitude for her trust and for the life they were building together. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, David walked through the orchard with Lily. He paused and looked around at the farm they had nurtured. The trees stood tall and healthy. The garden glowed in the warm light, and the barn seemed strong and welcoming. For the first time in many years, he felt contentment that went beyond money or work. This farm was now their dream realized. Lily ran ahead, picking a few flowers and calling to David. "Daddy, look! We made it beautiful." David smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment deeper than he had ever known. Clara joined them, carrying a small basket of fresh eggs from the chickens. They all stood together, looking at the land that had once seemed neglected and abandoned. Now it was full of life, energy, and possibility. Clara spoke softly, her eyes reflecting pride and warmth. "This is the result of love, care, and dedication. You both have given this farm its soul." David nodded, looking at Lily and then at Clara. "It is more than the farm. It is our home. It is our life, our happiness, and our hope for the future. We have grown with it, and it has grown with us." As night approached, they returned to the farmhouse, tired but filled with satisfaction. David tucked Lily into bed, feeling grateful for the journey they had taken together. The farm had not only given them a place to work and live, but it also brought them closer as a family and as friends. For David, the dream of a thriving farm and a happy life with Lily had finally become reality. With Clara's trust and their shared efforts, they had built something meaningful, lasting, and beautiful. They knew that the future held more work and challenges, but for now they celebrated the success of what they had achieved together. The farm had fully come alive. The fences were strong and neat, the garden flourished with vegetables and colorful flowers, and the orchard trees were heavy with fruit. Chickens clucked happily in the yard, and the goats grazed calmly in the fields. David and Lily had worked tirelessly, and their efforts had created a home filled with life, love, and purpose. Clara often joined them, sharing in the work and laughter, and the three of them had formed a bond stronger than friendship. One bright morning, David woke before sunrise, feeling the warmth of hope in his heart. Lily was already awake, her small hands packed with tiny gardening tools. She ran to the window and gasped at the sight of the sun rising over the orchard. "Daddy, look! The farm is so bright and happy," she said cheerfully. David smiled, feeling proud and content. As they walked to the garden, Clara was already there, arranging freshly picked vegetables into neat baskets. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Good morning, David. Good morning, Lily. The farm has never looked better." David nodded. "It feels perfect now, Clara. It is more than just land. It is our home, our joy, and our hope for the future." They began their morning work together, planting new flowers and vegetables in the garden. Lily followed her father's instructions carefully, learning more about the soil, the water, and the care each plant needed. David felt a deep sense of satisfaction watching her learn and grow alongside the farm. Clara quietly watched, offering encouragement and praise when needed. Her presence added a gentle strength to the day. By midday, the work was done, and they sat on a bench near the barn to rest. The sun shone warmly over the fields, and a soft breeze carried the scent of flowers and fresh earth. David looked around at the farm and then at Lily, who was smiling brightly, holding a small bouquet she had made. "You have done an amazing job, Lily," David said, lifting her onto his shoulders. "This farm is alive because of you." Clara joined them, carrying a small basket of eggs and fruits from the garden. "You both have worked so hard," she said. "The farm feels alive and happy because of your love and care. It is more than beautiful. It has heart, and that heart belongs to all of you." David felt a quiet gratitude. The farm had brought them more than crops and animals. It had brought a life full of meaning and happiness. He realized that money, machines, and tools could never create what they had built with their own hands, love, and patience. As evening approached, the three of them stood together near the orchard. The trees glowed in the soft light of the setting sun, and the garden shimmered with colors. David held Lily's hand gently, feeling the warmth of her small fingers in his. Clara stood beside them, her eyes reflecting pride and joy. "This farm is more than I ever imagined," David said softly. "It is our home, our dream, and our family. We have grown together and we have built something beautiful." Clara nodded. "Yes, David, the farm is alive, but so are you and Lily. You have brought love, hope, and happiness into this place. That is the most valuable treasure of all." Lily hugged both David and Clara tightly. "I love the farm, Daddy. I love it because we are together and it is happy." David smiled, feeling a deep peace in his heart. Life had been difficult for him, but now he saw a bright future. He knew there would be more work, challenges, and responsibilities, but he also knew that together they could face anything. The farm had given them more than a home. It had given them purpose, trust, and the joy of shared effort. As night fell, the farmhouse glowed softly with warm light. David tucked Lily into bed, feeling her small hand in his and listening to her soft breathing. Clara joined him by the window, looking out at the farm they had restored. "This is only the beginning," David said quietly. "We have created something special here, and it will continue to grow as long as we care for it." Clara smiled, her eyes reflecting the beauty of the fields and the trees. "Yes, David, the farm is our new beginning. Together we have built more than a home. We have built hope, love, and happiness." David stood back, looking at the farm one last time that night. The wind whispered through the trees. The animals settled into their pens, and the garden glowed under the moonlight. For the first time in many years, David felt complete. Life had given him a second chance, and he had taken it with his daughter and a trusted friend by his side. The future was bright and the farm was alive with dreams realized, love shared, and hope restored.